Honored maiden huntress, Artemis, Artemis, new moon come to us. Silver shining wheel of radiance, radiance, mother come to us. Honored queen of...
Hey everyone, it's CricketSong with Lunar Wisdom, and today I'm going to show you how to make rose water. Now, rose water has a lot of different purposes. The purpose I use rose water for is to then make Florida water, and Florida water in itself is I use for consecrating items and for other spell work. You can use rose water for spell work as well, but the purpose that I created is to make Florida water. Now, what you're going to need to make rose water is roses. Now, ideally, you'd want roses that are a little happier, but these are the roses I had. I had purchased them with another purpose, and they were used for that purpose, and now I'm going to use them to create the rose water. Roses that are given to you with the intention of love. I bought these with an intention of love, but there was also, I'm not going to share the intention, but the intention in which the roses are given to you or you purchase them really add to the vibration of the rose water that you're going to make. So keep that in mind when you are going to use roses for the purpose of crafting rose water. You're going to need a very large stock pot and either a cover or a bowl like this, a stainless steel bowl that seals it. But you can use the cover to the pot if it sort of has this sort of concave shape, because what's going to happen is the condensation is going to hit this and then travel down the edge of it and then drip into a bowl. So you're going to need, I use the stainless steel bowl, it works really well. You're going to need some sort of heat-proof bowl to put in the bottom of the pot. So I use a glass ramekin because it can withstand a lot of heat. So I use this, but if you have another bowl, a shallow bowl, then you can use that. And then a bowl that is going to fit on top of this bowl inside the pot. And this is going to collect your rose water in it. And then you're going to need ice. Okay, so we begin, I'm going to put you over here. We begin by taking the roses and we're going to pull the petals from it. So let me get that set up. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to remove the petals from the roses. So I'm just going to peel the petals. Off the roses. Can you see that? It's okay if they rip because you're going to basically boil them is what you're going to end up doing. So I'm going to do this I'm going to actually discard these outer layers of these petals or use it for something else, but I'm going to take the softer petal. And this rose, the petals are coming right off. And all you want is the petals. You don't want this inner stuff. You just want the petals. You could just get rose petals to make rose water, but I find that the intent in which the roses were purchased to begin with really adds to the vibration of the rose water. As with anything, intention is everything. See, I want to get this inner portion out. I don't want that. I just want the petals. They smell so good. Look how pretty that is. Roses smell so pretty. Okay, so you're going to do this to, I mean, I have a dozen here. It depends on how much rose water you want to craft, is how many roses you should use. I usually do at least a dozen to get a good amount of rose water. Okay, so I will be back when I have all my rose petals. Okay, so this is all my rose petals, my dozen rose petals. What I forgot to mention is you're going to need distilled water as well. Okay? I suppose you could use other water, like rainwater, but I use distilled water. So then what you're going to do, when you are all set with the rose petals, you're going to come over to your pot. And you're going to take your, I'm using my glass ramekin, or you can use a brick too. I've heard people say to put a brick. If you're using a bowl or a glass ramekin like I am, you're going to fill it with water. Now this does not have to be distilled water. The reason you're filling it with water is so that it doesn't float. This one is just to stay in there to create a space between the bowl, well, to create like a level here, because you're going to fill this with water and put the roses there. So the water inside is just to hold the bowl down, to also be a base for the bowl that's going to collect the rose water. And you're not going to fill the distilled water any higher than about halfway from the ramekin. So that's what I'm going to do next, is I'm going to fill around the ramekin with the distilled water. And like I said, you're going to fill it about halfway. I'm going to put a little more. That's good. It's a little more than halfway. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to put roses around the edge here, the rose petals, in the distilled water around the edge of the ramekin. Now if you use a brick in here instead of the ramekin, that will work too. You're just going to fill it up to about brick level and then put your roses in. Now I'm not going to put them all in, I'm just going to put some in, because this takes some time, this whole process. So I'm going to put these in. Then I'm going to turn on the fire on the stove, and I'm going to put it high, because what I want to do is I want to boil the water around here that has the roses in. I'm going to boil this. So once this boils, I will return and bring you to the next step. Alright, so we're back. The water is boiling and the rose petals are all wilty. So I'm going to add a few more rose petals. Whoops, get it out of there. To the edge. Add a few more. It's almost like cooking a soup with vegetables. When the vegetables or the kale cooks down, you add more. Or the spinach. Okay. That's good. Then what I'm going to do is put my collection bowl on top of the ramekin, and then I am going to place my big silver bowl on the top here. Now you can leave it like this and just let the condensation create in here, but what I end up doing to help the process along is I add some ice. To the top. And I turn this down to halfway. Instead of the fire being all the way up, I turn it down to halfway and I add the ice in here. I'm going to add some more too. This helps speed the condensation. That is going to occur inside. Because what will happen is the water, see how it's starting to create condensation? It's going to drip into that bowl that I have there. So I'm going to keep an eye on this. Again, I'm going to turn it down. And I'm going to let this melt and the condensation happen inside the pot. And I will come back, I'll let this go for about 5-10 minutes, and I'll come back and take a look. And we'll see what's going on from there. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes and all the water in there is melted and it's hot. So I'm going to turn the fire all the way down and I'm going to remove, wow, that bowl is hot. I'm going to need some oven mitts. I'm going to remove the bowl. And see, I've already collected some rose water in there. So I'm going to dump this. Oh, and you can smell it. It smells so pretty. I'm going to dump that. And you can see I've already collected a bunch of water. So what I want to do is I want to take this out because I want to keep that water. So I am going to put that in a larger bowl. I'm going to transfer it to this. That's what it looks like in there. I'm going to transfer this water into this bowl. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, ooh, the lens has gotten all steamy. I'm going to remove those rose petals and put fresh rose petals in. Okay, I removed some rose petals, reposition this. I'm going to add more distilled water. I don't know if you can see, I know it's all steamy in here. I'm going to add more distilled water to the outside. I am also going to add more rose petals. Very hot in there. Oops. Okay. Okay, I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to replace the bowl on the top. Place this bowl on top. Turn the fire back up. Put my stainless steel bowl back on top. And I'm going to put more ice in the bowl. I'm going to put 2 trays. And I'm going to come back and check it in about 10 minutes again. Well, maybe 15 because this hasn't boiled yet. And I'm going to show you over here. This is the rose petals I have left. So we'll probably do this one more time. Or once that boils down a little bit, I'll add more of this. And this is how much rose water I have so far. Okay, so I will come back in about 15 minutes and show you what's going on. Okay, it hasn't been 15 minutes, it's just been about 5. What I did, I can't see, what I did is I came in here and I'm turning the fire down and I'm putting all the rest of the petals in the water that I have. So it's really, you know, tight with all the petals in here. I'm going to leave them in here and I'm turning the fire down to low, like a low simmer. And I'm going to replace the bowl and I'm going to let this go and see how this works. I've looked at my notes after I did this with you guys and said, oh, I said to try to put in as many petals as possible since the last time I made it. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm going to put this on low simmer because it was boiling, and I am going to leave this for about 15 minutes and take a look at it when 15 minutes passes. And just to make sure that there's still water in there, because that's the thing you want to be careful of. You want to make sure that there's still water for those rose petals to boil in. Otherwise they'll stick to the pan and they'll burn, and you don't want that. So in 15 minutes I'll come in, take a look, and we'll see where we're at. And if that bowl inside has already have a lot of water, I want to dump that, and I want to make sure that this ice is still going. Okay, so in 15 minutes we'll return. So 15 minutes have passed, and I'm going to look inside and show you what it looks like in there. The roses, oh, it's steamy. The roses, I'm just going to move them around. The bowl isn't very full, and I have one more tray of ice I'm going to put in here, and then I'm going to be done. Whoops. Now, if you had more ice, you could keep going, but this is all the ice I have. So this is what when I'm completely done, I am going to let this go for as long as I can. I think there's enough water. Actually, I should probably add a little more distilled water. On the edge. You want to make sure you don't get the distilled water in the rose water like I just did. And again. I really could put more. I'm going to scooch that over. I'm going to put some more distilled water in here. Ooh, that's hot. I'm going to move this more to the middle again. Put this back. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit, and I'm going to let that go. And I'll be done in about 15 minutes. You can let this go as long as you can, as long as you have the condensation and the distilled water creating the condensation in here. Yeah, I'm going to turn the heat up just a little more. And then you'll have your rose water. Hope this helped you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, I love you.